Section 89 of the Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri, translated by Courtney Langdon. This Librivox recording is in the public domain. Paradiso, Canto 22. The Seventh Heaven. Saturn. Saint Benedict. The Eighth or Starry Heaven. The Twins.
Oppressed with stupor, to my guide I turned, as would a little child who always runs for help to where he most confides. And she, as doth a mother who at once assists her pale and breathless offspring with her voice, whose wont is to assure him, said to me,
Knowest thou not that thou art now in heaven? And knowest thou not that all of heaven is holy, and that of good zeal cometh all done here? To what extent the song, as well as I, by smiling would have changed thee, thou canst now imagine, since the cry has shocked thee so. In it, if thou hadst understood its prayers, already were the vengeance known to thee which thou shalt see before thou die. Our sword up here cuts nor in haste nor tardily, save as to one it seems who waits for it with either apprehension or desire. But turn thyself around towards others now, for many illustrious spirits shalt thou see, if, as I tell thee, thou direct thine eyes.
Mine eyes I then directed as she pleased, and saw 100 little spheres, which, gathering, by mutual rays each other fairer made. Like one I was who checks within himself the goad of his desire, and dares not ask, so great his fear lest he may ask too much. The largest and most lustrous of those pearls came forward thereupon, to sate my wish concerning it. Within it then I heard,
If thou, as I do, couldst behold a love which burns among us here, thy thoughts would be expressed, but lest, by waiting, thou delayed thy lofty aim, I'll answer now the thought which causes thee to so restrain thyself. That mountain on whose slope Casino stands was once frequented on its top by folk, who both deluded were and ill disposed. And he am I, who first up yonder bore the name of him, who carried down to earth the truth which were exalted us so much, and such abundant grace upon me shone, that I withdrew the neighbouring villages from that vain worship which seduced the world. These other fires were all contemplatives, men who were kindled by the heat which brings the flowers and fruits of holiness to birth. Here is Macarius, Romuald is here, and here are those my brethren who remained in cloisters and who steadfast kept their hearts.
And I to him, The affection shown by thee in talking with me, and the kindliness I see and note in all your burning flames, have opened wide my trust, even as the sun dilates the rose, whene'er its petals ope as widely as they can. Because of this, I pray thee, Father, do thou then inform me if I am worthy to receive such grace as to behold thee with thy face unveiled. Then,
Brother,
he replied,
thy great desire in the last sphere above shall be fulfilled, where all thine others are, and mine as well. Every desire is perfect there, mature and whole. In that sphere only is each part where it has always been, for it is not in space, nor turns on poles, and up to it our ladder reaches, and because of this it steals itself away beyond thy ken. Jacob, the patriarch, beheld it stretch thus far its upper portion, when of old laden with angels it appeared to him. But from the earth, to climb it, no one now removes his feet, and my monastic rule remains but as a means of wasting paper. Walls which of old an abbey used to be, have now become the dens of thieves, and cowls are sacks now, filled with naught but wretched meal. But heavy Ashoru doth not rebel against God's will, as much as doth the fruit which renders so insane the hearts of monks. For, whatsoever the Church may hold in trust, is all for those that ask it in God's name, and not for relatives, or what is worse. So soft the flesh of mortals is, that good beginnings do not last as long below, as from an oak's until its acorn's birth. Peter began with neither gold nor silver, and I, with prayers and fasts, began my convent, as Francis, with humility, did his. And if thou look at each of these beginnings, and then consider whither each hath run, thou'lt see that what was white hath turned brown, Jordan turned backward, and the water fleeing when God was so willed, were much more wonderful to see, in fact, than succour would be here.
He thus addressed me. To his company thereat returning, they together closed. Then like a whirlwind all were upward rapt. The gentle lady up that ladder's rounds urged me behind them by a sign alone. Her virtue so o'ercame my natural weight. Nor here below, where one goes up and down by natural law, was motion e'er so swift as to be equal to my pinion's flight. So may I, reader, once again return to that celestial triumph, for whose sake I oft bewail my sins and smite my breast. Thou hadst not drawn away and put thy finger as quickly into fire, as I beheld the sign which follows Taurus, and was in it. O glorious stars, O light, that pregnant art with mighty virtue, from which I acknowledge all of my genius, whatsoe'er it be. With you was born, and in your midst was hiding he who is father of all mortal life, when first I breathed the Tuscan air, and then, when grace had been bestowed upon me here to enter that high wheel which turns you round, your region was the one allotted me. To you my sighing soul devoutly prays, that it may now acquire the power it needs for that hard task, which draws her to itself.
To ultimate salvation thou art now so near,
In answer Beatrice began,
that clear should be thine eyes, and keen their sight. Therefore, ere further thou in it thyself, look downward, and behold how great a world I have already set beneath thy feet, so that thy heart, as joyous as it can, may show itself to that triumphant throng which happy comes through this ethereal sphere.
Then with my vision I returned through one and all 7 spheres, and this globe I beheld such that its mean appearance made me smile. Hence that opinion I approve as best which deems it least, and thus may he be called who sets his thought on something else. Latona's daughter I enkindled saw, without the shadow which was once the cause of my believing her both rare and dense. The countenance, Hyperion, of thy son I here sustained, and saw how near to him both Maia and Dione round him move. And after this the temperance of Jove appeared to me, between his son and sire, and clear the reason for their change of place. All 7 of them were thus revealed to me, how great they are, how swift, and far apart in their abodes. The little threshing floor which maketh us so fierce was as a whole revealed to me, from hills to river mouths, while I was circling with the eternal twins. Back to the lovely eyes I then turned mine.
End of Paradiso, Canto 22.